Today's episode of Guildcast is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial and to receive a free audiobook, just head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker.
Gamebreaker TV.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Guildcast, episode number 96 for December 4th, 2013. You're watching Gamebreaker. I'm Gary, and coming up on today's show, Thanksgiving is over. Roll on with the Winter's Day and some more delicious foods. Big changes are coming to PvP rewards and a major misstep by ArenaNet with a new armor set. All that and more, but first, joining us as always, the bog otter himself, Mr. Richard Procopio. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, sir. How are you?
Fantastic. Fantastic. And joining us as always, Mr. Matt Visual. How are you, sir?
Hey. How you doing?
Damn. Could you just do the whole show with that voice? It just starts off like that?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
The Barry White voice.
Yeah, I'm sick, so it's extra deep today. It's extra deep.
Extra deep.
Extra deep.
Extra
Wow.
deep.
We're this early in the show. We're going there.
You did, bro.
Yeah.
Not me. You did. And joining us for the first time, you know, is Blue, Mr. John Mullen, a.k.a. Blue. How are you, sir? Thanks for coming on the show.
No problem. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's a good show for you this week. We got a lot of PvP stuff to talk about, so school us, man. All right, so first up this week, Winter's Day 2.0 is kicking off December 10th. Coming up, I can't believe it's December already. Like, I feel like we just got the Winter's Day, like,
Last year.
Last year, the video, the winter. I'm like, really? What? When did this? How did this year go? It's crazy. I don't know. It's gonna last 6 weeks, all the way into early January. So it's a month and a half holiday event. I don't remember last year. Was it that long?
It was about that long. It came out on I think on the 14th of December last year. So it seems like they want to allow people, you know, a good New Year's and Christmas and all that time to get through it all. People have a lot of plans and family. They don't want to just bring it in and have it go away that quick. So, yeah, I think it was around the same amount of time.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're going to do it extra long just so Scarlet can roll in with all her wintry evil snowmen minions or some shit. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, man.
I'm not saying it was Scarlet, but it was Scarlet.
Is there no, at least there's no sign of our favorite villain in the latest teaser. At least, so maybe they're getting
not yet.
Yeah. But aesthetically, I mean, Winter's Day looks incredible as ever. Any major changes? Any major additions? Anybody notice?
The holiday event? No, the holiday event looked similar, right? They had all the stuff from last year's coming back. It looks like, and I guess it'll be pretty similar to what they did for Halloween. Yeah, they'll update the rewards. There might be a little bit
in Lion's Arch, probably. I would assume.
Yep, I bet all the decorations will come back to Lion's Arch like they did last year. It looks friggin' amazing. But yeah, I expect like. Go ahead.
No, so why do you guys think that possibly? Why do you think ArenaNet feels like they're so tied like on Lion's Arch?
I guess that's because that's where everyone is. I'm gonna say.
Would an event possibly help move some people around the world a little bit? I mean. Wouldn't Divinity's Reach be pretty cool? Kind of like a snow
They did Queen's Gauntlet in Divinity's Reach, so in August we spent a lot of our time in that city. You know, I guess they could have different holidays in different cities and just move people around. I think just for Winter's Day and Halloween, though, that's pretty set in Lion's Arch now since they have all of the programming done and all the art assets done for decorating it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they keep those there. But yeah, I would definitely love to see you go to the different capital cities for a future holiday. It's just hard, you know. In World of Warcraft, it was hard to ever get people to go to Darnassus, so you wouldn't actually build anything in Darnassus because no one will go and appreciate it. So it's probably pretty similar here.
I think for the people who don't really check on the website to see what's going on, you know, they just kind of log in. You know, everyone goes to Lion's Arch, so when they go to Lion's Arch, they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's snowy and stuff." You know, like they're automatically gonna check out all the activities and stuff like that. So I mean, it could be a combination of those things.
Well, go ahead.
If I remember correctly, didn't last year though with the Winter's Day, I thought they had the ship move around between the cities too. I thought too. Maybe they'll do that again this year.
They did do that. Yep.
The menacing toy maker ticks, right?
Yeah.
That was terrifying. It's like Christmas.
They seem to be moving. That big, scary, ominous thing.
It was like this
when
big,
that thing
scary
floats
thing in the sky, and you're just like, oh my god, what is this thing? It's supposed to be like a great holiday. That thing's freaking frightening.
The kids run away. Oh, no. They seem to be moving away to that like scheduled thing where they had like acts in Halloween, right? And they had like, oh, if you log in at this specific time on this specific day, it's Tix is going to be hovering over this city. So I don't know if they'll repeat that like this year or not, because I don't think they want the players to be on much of a schedule. But yeah, they did go to every city last year. You're right.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's any confirmation whether he's going to go to every city, but he will be back. Obviously, Toy Master Tix with his giant golem airship of doom will be back to frighten all the children. You're going to get jumping puzzles, bell choirs, snowball fights, toy apocalypse, the normal, pretty much all the events that you had last year. I think that's pretty much it for the events section, apart from the poison still floating around in Kessex.
Yeah, that's what really is important.
You think they're possibly holding anything back for this year? You think we'll see any new additions that they just kind of spring up on us as a little surprise?
I like it's just like last year. Like I feel like they worded a couple of the events differently to see like, oh, maybe there's something new. Like that's what I thought with the clock tower as well. Like, oh, maybe it's a little different because it says multi-path winter wonderland jumping puzzle, and I'm like, was it multi-path?
It was multi-path last year. Remember though?
It was.
The very start.
Yeah.
What they were doing is, remember the clock tower? You had so many people in that lobby area, and then everyone started from the same spot, and it was really hard to see your character, right? So when they did the Winter's Day puzzle, they had it so you could start in like one of 4 different places in the beginning, and then you met up at the end and finished it. So I think that's what they mean by multipath. I would not expect the jumping puzzle to be any different. The rewards might be different, but don't expect the jumping puzzle to be different.
Right.
It's the same. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, multi-paths, that's going to be... I'm like, nope, they had that last year.
Yeah, just in the beginning, though, like, you can split off into, like, 3 paths and stuff like that, and you meet there. So I guess, because in the Halloween jumping puzzle, a lot of people fall off in the first couple jumps, so it gets rid of all those groups of people right there in the beginning. So now you're left with, just like a handful of people jumping with you to the end, halfway through the puzzle. So, I get that, yeah. But I just didn't remember. It just didn't click. I was like, multi-path. Like, hold up, they're adding a little something. I guess not.
Hey, John, do you notice? I mean, it's only been a year, but do you notice like an influx of people coming into the game when these events kind of come around? Do they actually stir up enough, sort of like people getting intrigued to want to come back in?
Yeah, I would say so for the most part, especially with some of the bigger events. I think notice that sort of, the way I would judge it at least is like when I go into Lion's Arch and see like the general populace that is there, especially now that a lot of the culling has been removed. I think I've started to see it now, especially with the bigger patches like the Queen's Jubilee one, we saw that, and with the more recent Tower of Nightmare ones, I think we saw that too. With a lot of the newer patches, I've definitely been seeing like a much larger volume of people in a lot of the major cities and in some of the events. I think.
Do you guys think any of the poison in Kessex could get tied into any of this at all? You think they'll do anything with that?
Oh, please, no.
I think it's just going to keep active, and they keep putting it in the patch notes to remind people that it's there, because it's up to the community to actually go to the top of the tower and inject that flower with more antitoxin. When we fill that bar up, something's going to happen. They have something planned. The tower will collapse, or something is going to happen when the community does that. But they're just kind of reminding people, hey, there's still reasons to go do that.
maybe it's the Wizard's Tower. The Wizard's Tower is the answer to all of our questions.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Come on, I still believe, Matt. I still believe.
Yes. I'll believe with you. The Wizard Tower with flying mounts. Yes, let's make this happen. Make this happen.
Along with that stuff, a new skill cap of 500 for armor smiths, leather workers, and tailors, with the introduction of crafted ascended armor.
That's crazy. 3 seconds after that post went live, prices skyrocketed on everything. I jumped in. I'm like, oh, please, let me go. Oh, it's already too late. Everything's way too expensive. Damn it.
How's the gear progression? Is the gear progression burning your souls? What's going on?
Man, like, the first thing when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is really cool, but I don't know if I want to spend money or do any of that now. Like, do I really need more than exotic armor right now? Maybe I could wait till legendary armor, but is legendary armor going to come out anytime soon? It's like a battle. It's like, should I spend a lot of money and then have to gain all that gold back? Should I not? Like, I don't know.
Well, what do you
But
guys
it's a
think? I
battle.
mean, we know that Descended Armor was coming, but do you guys think crafting was the right way to actually deliver it?
Well, yeah, I think that there should always be a way to craft it. I mean, you can't just put an armor in the game and not be able to craft it. It's just going to be a little bit harder. But adding crafting and other ways to get it as well, will be great. Like, just like how they added the ascended weapons in the Taquata fight.
Yeah, I think they added the ascended weapons in the Fractals update as well. In level 10 and above, you have a small chance to get ascended weapons. I think they also said that they're going to be able to, once ascended armor's in the game, you're going to be able to get a chance like that too. I agree with Matt. It's great that they're putting it in as crafting, and it's expensive and time-consuming to actually do that. And it stimulates the economy, like I was mentioning before, which is all good. But I do wish there were more ways that you can kind of go around getting it, besides just a low random chance to get it from like Tequatl or from the Fractals. Maybe something you could grind out in dungeons using dungeon tokens or some other method so that you can get it no matter what type of content you like to play. Because it is really going to be expensive for people to get a full set of ascended gear, and that's going to be like one stat combination. A lot of people have multiple sets of exotic gear of different stat weights,
right?
And getting that is just going to be.
I just can't do that again. I can't do that again. Like I'm happy for ascended armor, but just the fact of spending all that time to craft something that I can't change the stat of, and it's going to be soul bound to that character. I don't know if I want to spend that much time on a full set of armor. I just can't for myself. I'd rather just wait for legendary.
Well, what do we know? Do we know what you're going to need to craft them? Do we know how hard these are going to be to make?
Oh, they're going to be decently hard. They're going to be decently hard.
If you base it on what the weapons are, it's going to be ridiculous. It's going to take just the level you're crafting to 500 is going to take a lot of mats. Like just to get from 400 to 500 in weaponsmithing, you had to make over a dozen different exotic weapons, to get your rank up, and that's not even including the mats to actually make it. So people have been stockpiling and saving, and the ascended stuff that's been dropping for the past few months, people have been saving it up. So for people who have done that, it should be fairly easy. But it's definitely going to be time consuming and expensive to do it for sure.
Anybody else know? Like maybe it's just me. Tell me. Anybody knows about looking at the screenshot? Do you guys feel like? I feel like this armor set is at its core is so Guild Wars. Like
Guild Wars 1
screams. Yes, it screams Guild Wars 1, doesn't it? It's great. I think it's fantastic. I think it just it really has like some sort of nostalgia kind of factor to it back from GW1.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's a Guild Wars 1 high-res picture or something like that.
It does. Straight up from Guild Wars 1.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like Guild Wars 2. Yeah, I like the design for that. Is that the light armor or medium armor?
I can't tell.
I think that's the medium.
Because I don't like the heavy, so that's probably one of the reasons why I won't get it for my heavy, if anything, for my guardian.
Yeah, that's the medium.
Yeah.
This is
I remember the Reddit post correctly. That was the medium.
Yeah. The light and medium look pretty good, but the heavy, I
agree. The heavy, I hate how the heavy looks. Like It'd be so bad to spend all that material to make the heavy set and then to quickly transmute it to something else.
Yeah, that would be no. You can't do that. Oh, that's so painful.
Now, is that a new, completely unique set of armor?
Yes.
Yeah.
The three skins that have been kind of data mined for a while now. They're not on anything else in the game currently.
How are people taking to that? Because that's been kind of a controversial topic, hasn't it?
Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more later. I think they can't put ascended armor in the game and have it be the same as some other skin. That would be the worst idea ever. No, it cannot be a reskin or a recolor of something else. And yeah, so it's good that they're all unique. I just don't necessarily love the heavy set like we talked about. But one thing to talk about real quick about ascended armors in general. It's still not going to be required for any content. right? If you want to be at your absolute best while doing world versus world, or we're running the high-level fractals, or even doing dungeon speed runs, then sure, you want that extra stat boost. But it's not like you need a full set of ascended gear in order to complete anything in the game. So as much as we, may bitch and moan in fun about, how expensive it's going to be to craft, it's just still not a gear progression like a typical game would be.
The patch also brings with it a big balance update, focusing on traits. We heard about that back in Movember. Which
Indeed, it does. Big changes.
Big changes. Also a new healing skill for every profession. That's a pretty interesting choice. And by interesting, I mean boring. That's kind of boring, isn't it? To be honest, it's a little boring.
Yeah.
No, somebody tell me about the healing skill. What are we looking forward here?
So we don't actually know what the skills are as of yet. However, they are going to be previewed this Friday on the stream that ArenaNet is going to be doing. So we will find out this Friday what those skills actually are.
I really hope it has some really cool mechanics. Yeah,
Were they?
Data mined.
Were they?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, we don't know for 100% sure if they're accurate, but it seems like a lot of them are you get healed as you take damage, or you get healed as you deal damage as a percentage of the damage that you've dealt. So like the warrior one, for example, is a stance. When you use it, it makes you kind of immune to damage for a little bit, and incoming damage is converted to a heal. So they seem fairly interesting like that, and not your standard thing. But I agree overall. I think that they're taking a little bit of the safe route with adding skills. They want to do the one where it may be the least impactful first. I think that's kind of what they're going for.
Let's give the warrior that skill. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let's. That would make sense for a guardian. Is what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Just saying. John Peters jumped on the forums to give us a little more info about the healing skills. He said the reason we went with the heal skills first is that we actually believe this is the highest impact area for build diversity. One, it is a small pool to begin with, so adding to it increases choice by a large percentage. Two, it sees a lot of use. And three, it heals you, which is pretty important as time goes on. We will also introduce traits, utilities, elites, and potentially other stuff. So, you guys think it's is it list? You buying it? You reckon that's
I do.
the reason
You buy it?
I do, yeah. I personally, so point number one, it's a small pool again. Yes, that's true. And also, I know that a lot of people were saying that, maybe not necessarily healing skills, but I know a lot of people were asking to add on to the skills that had lower choices to choose from. So that would be healing skills and ultimates. I think a lot of people would have preferred more ultimates to start off with, but I think healing skills was a good choice to start off with, personally speaking, for adding to a pool that was otherwise relatively limited.
I think everything that they said in that list is absolutely true. I think there's more reasons, and I think, like I said before, I think healing is probably the best thing for them to start with, because it is the safest route. So yes, it's going to be a little bit boring.
Are you alluding to the cynical route of saying that healing skills are a lot harder to screw up than utilities? Is that what you're thinking?
It's one slot per character. Right, so if they just started throwing in a whole bunch of new utilities across the board, then I don't know. Then it could switch up the whole metagame. All builds would just be thrown up in the air. It's a little bit easier to keep your eye on. All right, let's see what heal skills people are using now, and what builds people are changing as a result of these heal skills, and kind of balance it and learn from what we've done before we go into stuff like elite skills and utility skills and new weapon skills and stuff like that, because that's where they're going. They're eventually going to do all of them. Eventually, they're going to allow players to have a choice of weapon skills, or at least this is stuff that they've alluded to in the past, that you might not be locked into these 5 weapon skills on your warrior greatsword. You might have some sort of choices involved, but they're taking it a slow and safe route, and I think that's okay. But yeah, it's not as sexy as getting all new ultimate abilities with fire and lightning.
Because we want that.
Yeah,
everybody wants that. All right, I'm going to move on. I want to talk about some PvP, big PvP stuff going on. First, I want to tell you guys about a great deal we got going on with Audible. Love having the Audible on, sponsoring Gamebreaker and Guildcast. Want to hook you guys up with a free 30-day trial of the service and a free audiobook. Kind of pulled a weird one out this week because I'm actually listening to it. It's really good. I'm think a lot of people out there probably have a YouTube page and make videos or a website. And you probably use a lot of social media like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And I think a lot of you maybe think you know how to use it, but maybe you want to get like, an edge to kind of like learn how to use it to like drive traffic to your page, your guild and stuff like that. And I just started listening to this. It's not super new. It's been out for a little while, but it's called Likeable Social Media. It's like a marketing book based on social media, and it's actually fantastic. I mean, a lot of this stuff might be, some of the things in there might be kind of, sort of like you feel like you know how to use these. And I'm not talking about, well, you download and you go to Twitter and this is how you make an account. It's not like that. It's like, how do you actually use them the proper way in conjunction with each other to help drive traffic to your website, to your YouTube page, to your brand, things like that. And I got to say, like, if it wasn't for social media, Gamebreaker would be absolutely nowhere. Because I'd say, God, I think last time I looked, probably close to 80, maybe 90% of our traffic that comes to our website is generated through social media. So Facebook, Twitter, things like that. So we use it extensively. So I highly recommend this book. It's called Likeable Social Media by Dave Kirpin, narrated by Christopher Prince. I usually go with the fantasy stuff on the Guildcast, but I think there's a lot of you out there that probably could learn a thing or two about social media. So definitely check it out. Give it a listen to. Likeable Social Media on Audible, and you could download this as one of your free audiobooks, as your free audiobook. And all you got to do is make sure that you use the URL audible.com/gamebreaker. Go over, sign up, make an account, download the app to your iOS device or your Android, and get to downloading Likeable or one of the many other books on the audible.com. Audible.com/gamebreaker. All right, so let's talk about some P versus P. Lots of stuff going on. Team lead John Corpening laid out the roadmap for PvP reward changes. So from December 10th, you'll be able to earn gold in PvP. What? You'll also be able to spend gold and glory to buy tomes of knowledge, which level you up. What? What's going on here? They're going all out. They're going all out here. They're just letting PvP players just easily level up while getting some gold at the same time. What do you guys think of these changes? These are big.
Blue, maybe you could help me out. All right, so they're removing glory from PvP, right? And they're adding gold, to you can still use your glory to buy stuff from the merchants to use your glory while you still have it, right?
So they're not removing glory just yet. I think the thing that's been circulating around is that both gold and glory are going to be used in conjunction together until the point where they change the rewards to where they're ready to actually remove glory, is I believe what the blog post was sort of leaning towards, is once they're ready, then they're going to take out glory. But for now, it's going to be both of them working together. But it's good because now glory, which previously was arguably made to be almost a useless currency, is now going to have quite a bit of use to it as per you being able to level characters with it now.
Right, exactly. You're going to be able to buy tomes of knowledge, which level up your character once. So if you have a bunch of glory, which that was one of the things about glory, is that you get so much of it if you play a lot of PvP, like you just don't know what to do with it. I was like, whoa, you have like hundreds of thousands? Like, what is this? I wonder what's going to be the cap on getting those tomes, because you could just level up every character level 80 if they're very cheap, you know? So I wonder how they're going to scale it. Are they going to scale it to the people who are, kind of in the middle of PvP, or people who have like hundreds of thousands of points? So because they're going to be able to just buy 80 of them and level every character to 80, which I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well, I mean, you have people like I got a couple friends who have like millions of glory saved up because they just had nothing to spend it on up to this point, which now they do. But in terms of like pricing for those tomes of knowledge, I think what they're going to sort of lean it towards is to make it scale in terms of the fact that like when you're actually buying these tomes and slowly leveling up through them, it would sort of equate out to the time it would take to possibly like level normally through the PvE world. Would sound like logical conclusion for like the time it takes to acquire all the currency needed to get like 79 of those tomes to get the full leveling.
Sure.
And this is just stage one, right? Go ahead, Richie.
I was gonna say, so it shouldn't be a big deal if somebody's been saving up glory since launch, right? And they've never leveled up in the other world. They should absolutely be able to level a tune or two to level 80. So if they can do that, then more power to them. So yeah, it's almost like they want this to be like one game.
Amazing.
Me personally, I'm super psyched because I have a boatload of glory saved up, and there's just a couple of characters that I have sitting at like 40s, 50s, and 60s, and now I'm just gonna level them up.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Like no longer you're gonna hit that like midpoint. It's just like, okay, where do I go to level up now? I've map completed everything up to 40. You know, where do I go now? You can just go straight to PvP and just level up your character, which I think is great.
And suddenly all the PvP players have more level 80s than I do because I only play one character pretty much.
So this is only stage 1. So they're actually doing like, check this out. This is something that's quite surprising. They want to bring PvP and PvE rewards and currency together. So players will be earning gear and using it in PvP or PvE. It doesn't matter. It's all about the appearance. So there'll just be no stats in PvP. What do you guys think of all of that? I mean, it totally fits the Guild Wars model.
Yeah, I want to see how they transfer PvP gear, because a lot of people have like stacks of PvP gear. Some people even have it full. I wonder how all of that is going to translate over to PvE. Like if you could just bring your gear out, what stats will it have? Will you be able to pick? I doubt. That's a lot of gear in there. Would it be level 80? And they said in the blog post that it's going to have value. So make sure that you keep developing your collection, or you don't throw them away or salvage them or whatever like that. So I don't know why you would do that, but So I wonder, they might scale to the skin. Like if you have full Orion PvP armor, that's really rare. That's going to be level 80 armor, and maybe give you some random stats. I don't know, but it's interesting.
I think if they went down that road, though, there would be a couple things that would need to change. Because like the Orion skins in PvP is actually quite easy to obtain. You can get them out of, if you're winning the tournaments, the tournament queues. If you're winning those, they can come directly out of those chests. So those are, compared to how you would get them in PvE anyway, it seems a little bit too easy in terms of like the comparison for PvE to PvP. So I think some things would need to be changed in that regard if they were going to go down that route with it.
No, but it's pretty cool. I would think this must be like a huge technical nightmare to kind of pull off, right? They're suddenly making these skins cross, and like if you're wearing a suit of gear in PvP and you suddenly come out, it has stats in a different like rune setup and stuff, and then when you go into the PvP lobby area, it changes, because they said you're going to be able to have the same set of gear but just 2 different loadouts depending on whether you're in the mists or not. So I have to imagine that this was a big technical achievement to kind of pull off, but it's definitely for the best for the game. And Matt can finally bring his legendary weapon.
Yes, thank you. I wasn't going to mention it. I was going to rub it in people's face. My legendary. Even though I'm going to be like, oh, wow, look at that guy, that Norn with a humongous glowing sword. Let me kill him first. Like, I don't know. Like, real matches, that doesn't really happen, but yeah,
does this whole
gonna be
gold
pretty
thing?
cool.
Does this whole gold thing now mean that you can basically buy PvP rewards with gems?
Not necessarily, at least for the time being. In theory, though, in the future, when glory is eliminated, because right now, like what we were saying before, you still have to use both glory and gold. So you could get the gold part on your own through gems, but you still need to get the glory from the matches. And they've actually normalized that, so it wouldn't really be of any benefit to you to get the gems and then transfer it into gold, because as well, it says you're going to be earning the gold in PvP now anyway, so you're, in theory at least, you would be farming them on an equal level. But in the future, when they do finally remove the glory, then it could possibly be of use to actually just buy gems and then get whatever you want through what could be bought with gold anyway.
Interesting. And on top of that, there's a new system that's going to be introduced allowing players to set goals for rewards in PvP and work towards them. Do we have any more information about like that? Do we know how that's going to work?
They haven't revealed what that system is, but there's been some other data mining and stuff like that that has revealed that there are PvP legendaries in the mix. So I would guess that you're going to be able to work towards earning a PvP legendary item or weapon through this system. But we don't know what that exactly is yet, but we know that that's been data mined at some point.
So Blue, how's the PvP community taken to this? Is this pretty much everybody? I'm watching the chat room while we're talking about this, and everybody seems to be like somebody saying the best changes that they've made in a long time for the PvP community.
Yeah, a lot of people are psyched about this because I personally feel this as well. Is that it's going to bring in it's going to bring in a brand new audience of PvEers that never before would have probably even tried PvP. Before, a lot of people, and the integration part of this too, in terms of the skins being usable on both sides of the game, was a really big part because this is something a lot of people have been asking for. At least a lot of PvEers too have been asking for this for quite some time. Just let us, because a lot of them were just, yay, we have all these epic skins and legendaries of PvE, but when we go into PvP, and now we're wearing like level 10 armor. And it just like killed the immersion for them. So being able to transfer those skins into PvP is going to be a huge boost for them to actually go in and give it a try. So I think I'm personally super psyched, and I think most of the community is psyched about it as well.
Richie, you're a big PvE, you're not a big PvPer. I mean, is this going to change? Is this going to get you in there?
We'll see.
Oh gosh.
My not going in there as much is more about just me being bad more than anything else. It's not that I don't enjoy it.
I got Blue here. He can give you some pointers and tips and probably be kicking ass in no time. You can start training sessions.
But this is definitely the type of thing that, it will not feel like a completely different game. It does not feel like I use the Mist lobby area sometimes as a free teleport to Lion's Arch. When I'm running through there, it doesn't even look like my character, right? It's just weird. It's a foreign entity. I don't even know what I'm controlling right now. Let me get through that portal as fast as possible. You
still have the stock armor and the stock weapons.
Yeah. So, but like being able to jump in there and like try it out and play some matches and actually earn some gold during it. It actually feels like, all right, you know what? As I learn to do PvP, I will actually be able to help my PvE side. Right now you just can't. It is anything I do in PvP is really going to help just the PvP side, which I'm not overly interested in. But if there's that crossover there, yeah, sure, it can be more enticing.
I think as well, John. Sorry to interrupt. John Corpening made a follow-up post as well on the there was another forum post about said rewards, and I think he said as well that there was going to be some skins added later on that may be actually like unique to PvP, so that if you want to have those skins in PvE, you actually need to do PvP to get them, which that would be cool too, in my opinion at least. I don't know how PvEers would feel about that though.
I would John, feel like, gosh darn it, now I have to go do PvP.
Now I have to PvP because I need that damn carrot.
That's right.
John, did you the others in the PvP community kind of see some of these changes coming? Was the writing on the wall? Was there any hints of them? They seem to come out of almost out of nowhere.
They had been hinting at rewards changes for the past few months now. Coming up on like 6 to 7 months ago, they started murmuring about it. However, they had been extremely vague as to what exactly they were going to be doing up to this point. So this was very much a huge shock for a lot of people. But I think it was a good shock, though, not a bad shock.
It seems like it was a good shock. It seems like it's being really well received by the whole community. We joke a lot about kind of on the show about just the amount of currencies that Guild Wars 2 has. So I guess that's also something else that's kind of cool. You get a little streamline a little bit. Get nothing like paring down the currencies.
Everyone likes gold.
Yes.
Everyone.
Now the other big thing, which I can't wait to hear your thoughts on. Say goodbye to leaderboards. You're getting ladders and divisions. So is this a lot closer to kind of like a League of Legends or StarCraft model?
I think that's what they are going for. They're trying to go for a much more competitive model to eventually push for that sort of esports thing that they were advertising around at launch. They're looking to go into that league, that ladder league system that a lot of other games have now emulated. It seems to be working really good for those other games too, because it gives you something to strive for. It's not just a solid position on the leaderboards where some players it would be impossible before, like, I'm never going to get to rank 1 on the leaderboards, why am I even trying? Now they'll be like, just in theory, we'll have like Diamond League, Gold League, Silver League. Now people can say like, yeah, I'm in Gold League, and there's not going to be like a limiter on that in terms of like there being a solid number of people that can be there. There won't be that limit. It'll be purely based on how good you actually are at the game.
I always liked ladders like this because it reminds me back in the days when I used to play Halo 3. If any of you guys play Halo 3, they had this system, right, and they changed it in Halo 4 where it's like basically you gain a bunch of XP, you get to a high level. Well, in Halo 3, basically it matters how many kills you got, how many matches you've won, stuff like that, and then all of a sudden you would level up and rank up. And when you get that, that next rank, you feel awesome. You're like, yes, I finally did it. you know, it gives something to strive for. I agree with the change, you know, because leaderboards is just, I don't know, I barely even look at them, you know, and with this, it's just like one of those representations, like, oh, okay, you are this skill, you know, you are silver, you are gold, even though it might stir up, you know, a lot of things that people don't like, which is, you know, I'm in gold, I'm better than you. You're in silver, you suck. You know,
Looking
like
for
it's
more
gonna
team
happen
through
either way.
Challenger League only, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
You
just
know,
like
like-
in League of Legends. Like, oh my
But
god, like you see the chat. Oh my gosh, you're in bronze. Oh, you suck.
Noob.
noob. When you're probably even better than them. You know. Yeah.
Aren't they also removing ranks?
Yes, this
Yes.
was the part that is somewhat debated in terms of like how, at least in my opinion, how I'm seeing the community recepting it. There are some people who are like good riddance because it was just too much of a farm to deal with. I think I heard I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard some statistic once that was like to get from rank 79 to 80, you actually had to do the full amount of experience that was level 1 to 79. So people were like,
Wow,
no
really?
one's like, I don't know if that's true, but I just heard that once, but but from some of the other math people, it sounded about right. But on the other hand, there were people who were like getting closer to another rank up that were like, oh, I've wasted all this time then, and like oh, now like all this effort's been wasted, and they're angry about it. So it's a bit split on that regard. Me personally, I don't mind it too much that it's going away, but I know there are some people who are a little bit angry that the ranks are being removed.
Now, what do you think, John? Because obviously, like, you know, the ranks, the leaderboards, that kind of stuff going away kind of helps a lot to kind of put more structure around the competitive side of the esport thing. But I guess in your opinion, what else do you think ArenaNet needs to do on the PvP side to kind of kickstart that whole esports thing back into gear?
I think. What'd you say?
Game mode.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Well, they have said as well that a lot of these
Right.
changes are sort of paving the way for new game modes that are eventually going to be added. I think the new game modes are going to be great for the casual audiences that want to come in and just play like capture the flag or whatever. Let's say they put that in, just tossing that idea out there, or some other stuff as well. It could even create little side scenes. Like recently, I've been heavily involved in this too. There's been an actual sort of 2v2 deathmatch scene that's really been kicking up out of nowhere, and there's a lot of people interested in that now as well. So maybe due to that, we may see that come into play
Yes.
as a game mode or something like that. And
Please.
it's really great. I mean, I think they're doing an excellent job. Game modes after the rewards changes, obviously, is probably going to be the next biggest step. And after that, it's really up to the community, just building up tournaments with sponsors and all that, and just shooting it up there.
Yeah, I would love. I mean, I would love to see some like 2v2s or 1v1s, whatever, on, you know, dedicated maps, and, you know, even queue up for that type of stuff. I would love to see stuff like that. That's what, because that when people just jump in the match, that's all they do. They don't care about the capture points. They just want to kill everybody. You know, it's just like that's all they want to do. So might as well put them in mode. I know different game modes and maybe too many might split up the community too much. You know, too thin.
Yeah.
You know, because right now there's not much in PvP right now. There's a very small group, and
I think.
Yeah.
I think the plan generally is now is they're not going to do those game modes just yet, because like you said, the population in PvP is really small compared to like World v World population and PvE population. But with hopefully these reward changes and more of the integration between PvE and World v World, that population will slowly build up to a point where ArenaNet could be confident with possibly putting out another game mode here, and maybe even having again, just completely theoretical, but maybe even having a queue for it or something like that, to the point where it wouldn't be a risk to like having extraordinarily long queue times or anything like that, which that was an issue about a year ago when we were still in the 3-round tournament system.
What was the balance like back in Guild Wars 1 between PvE and PvP?
That I cannot actually answer, unfortunately. I did not play Guild Wars 1, surprisingly enough.
You mean that, like the end game, like what were people doing?
Yeah, like, you know, yeah, because I mean, I didn't play
It was
towards endgame,
largely PvP.
right. It was largely PvP, right?
Yes.
Which is what's so odd to me, that now this time around it's flip flopped, and they've kind of lost that. Especially, you know, it's kind of strange. Where do you think, John? Where do you think that they like was the biggest sort of like hurdle that they like kind of hit? What was the wall that they hit that it never? Because everybody had such expectations about PvP and esports in general for Guild Wars, and I think for the MMO crowd, everybody felt like this was the game that was going to really do it. You know, WoW wasn't going to support Spectator Mode, and you know, we saw League really breaking out and StarCraft and things like that, and Guild Wars seemed to be like the one that could possibly break out from the MMO crowd and become a real true esport, and then it kind of fell flat on its face.
Yeah, there was around launch. There was a huge amount of hype surrounding this game for esports. Huge. Like we had all kinds of people jumping on the bandwagon with this game. I think at one point we had Razer saying the Razer put out a tweet like right before launch saying we're going to sponsor Guild Wars 2 teams for LANs and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I mean, granted, that all sort of fell through, and I think I hold my own opinion on that. And generally thinking that ArenaNet was saying, if you paid attention, they did say that yes, we're going for this esports thing. But the other thing they said is that, yes, we're going for it, but there's a lot of these features like Spectator Mode, like the custom arenas that are going to take some time to put in. But the issue with it is a lot of people didn't really listen to that so much. They just heard esports and were like, yeah, let's do that. And they didn't really pay attention to but we still need to put this stuff in. So I think people got a little bit...
But I can't imagine that the spectator mode is something that would make or break PvP in general for a game. Like, I mean, World of Warcraft doesn't have spectator mode, and still there's a large PvP scene there. So I think I don't necessarily know if it was just the fact that they didn't have that. I don't know. Why do you think most people left? I mean, was it just the mechanics of how it was being played? And
a lot of people said the down mechanic was part of the reason. A lot of people didn't like the combat and how it was like floaty or something like that. There was a lot of little itty bitty reasons here and there, and a majority was like, oh, just blame it on one thing, spectator mode. That's the reason why it wasn't there. But a lot of people think that maybe the action, there's too much stuff going all over the place with the 3 capture points that it's hard to really focus and really understand how to really look at the game like that. But I thought it was, I don't know, like for me, I thought it was a really cool game to look at and get into. But yeah, really, if someone's coming in and looking at the live stream, they may not know what's going on. They're looking at it like, okay, what?
I will admit that there is a lot to try and comprehend, especially when there's those 3 capture points all over the map, and it's not like StarCraft where we just have this like bird's eye view of the entire map at once. We have to actually, sort of move around it one by one and try to keep narration going. And I will admit that does end up being a little bit hard to try and contemplate to a newer viewer. But in general, I did notice this once spectator mode got put in, once the custom arenas got put in, there was a huge boon to the PvP scene. I saw the second that patch got, the day that patch was put in, I saw like 10 times the amount of people I would normally see in the mist just there all of a sudden because everybody was so hyped.
Has it held? Has that hype held?
No.
It hasn't, unfortunately.
I mean, the live streams were hitting good numbers. It was great. I don't know exactly what happened though. It just kind of fizzled down again.
There was a lot of the meta. The meta hit what was in many people's opinion a very low point in itself. What a lot of players were considering a very boring meta, a very stale condition based meta, and there was a lot of teams that didn't want to play in that meta. And especially after the PAX event, there was just a lot of teams. There was just a lot of negativity in general that sort of spread around like sickness almost, and a lot of people just left due to that. We are starting to get more of those people back now. There was a lot of major players that left after the PAX event, such as Team Paradigm, later known as Team Curse, before they did leave the game. Some other players as well did leave, but I started to see this now with my friends and stuff. Started to see a few of them log on and play the game for a little bit. So I think they are starting to get a little bit more into it now that the meta is starting to change with this newer patch, and now that some of the rewards changes are coming in as well. I think a lot of people are maybe thinking about getting back into it.
So let me ask you then, if you're still obviously like really heavily into the scene, what keeps you interested and why are you still attached to this scene? I mean, if you're a competitive player, you're usually looking for other similar competitive players to play against. So I would assume that most players who want to seriously play PvP would want to play in an arena with a game with other people that they feel are worthy opponents. So if you had to make a case for Guild Wars 2 PvP, what would it be?
I think it's just a really amazing game. We have a really cool community. What's cool, like we sort of have a double-edged sword with the community at the moment. It's really small in the fact that like I'm pretty close friends with most of the major teams and most of the major players, even some of the amateur teams and whatnot that are starting to pop up now. I play with them almost every night, and that's this cool little community we have. Everybody's sort of friends with everybody, especially in the NA and EU communities, and we sort of have that keeping us going. Me personally, what keeps me going, I really love the game. I've always been a huge fan of MMOs, and I've been following esports since I was like 8 years old, so the chance to get into an MMO esport was just so alluring for me, and I really just fell in love with the game, and really nothing is going to chase me away so long as there are still teams playing the game.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to see them come back and really kind of resurrect PvP in a really big way, like in a really big way. See it at that top tier, the top set of boxes on Twitch in the first or second row. 'Cause that's really where you want to be, right? Like first or second.
Yeah.
So I don't know. These changes are really interesting.
It'll be great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like people knowing about Guild Wars 2. People know about Guild Wars 2. People probably have bought Guild Wars 2, but they have like, you know, no subscription fee. They can come back anytime, so they've just gone off, do other stuff. The problem is like getting them excited back again, because you it's the same thing with living story patches. You put a living story patch, all of a sudden, boom, you know, there's a bunch of people here. Oh, what's going on here? You know, is there anything I'm into? And then, you know, they go back again. But like with PvP, like if they really do hit the wall with this one, and you know, introduce new game modes and introduce all these different systems coming in, ladders and stuff like that, they really might get people to stick to it and actually develop a nice community going around it. You know, because, you know, really, everyone knows about Guild Wars 2 is the fact that they need to switch a certain couple stuff to, you know, really get people back into it and actually stick to it.
There was sort of like a huge, like that launch when sort of nothing really happened at launch because all these features were still being developed. That definitely hurt the PvP scene, but I think we are starting to slowly recover from it now. It's just making it known that because of the viewership numbers on a lot of the tournaments, it's just like a lot of people just like sort of don't even know we exist right now. So really, it's just sort of building that people to know that we're here, we're a competitive scene, and we're ready to grow. We're growing back. There's been a lot more tournaments lately where, like 3 to 4 months ago, there was almost nothing. We're having huge amounts of tournaments. A lot of people forget we had a tournament with MLG. I was at MLG Studios, and we did a tournament there. So there's definitely interest among the major tournament organizers. It's just making it known that we're here and showing them that we are a valid competitive scene worthy of a spot in some of those tournaments.
Good stuff. It's going to be a really interesting couple of weeks and months seeing how the PvP scene turns out with all these changes. I want to get back and talk about some of these this controversy over these reused gear models. First, I want to tell you guys about a great deal we got going on with Shutterstock. Can't do Guildcast without the Shutterstock. So glad to have these guys on as sponsors for Gamebreaker and Guildcast. And we want to save you guys 25% off on your new account. If you guys have not checked out Shutterstock, talking about websites, YouTube pages, all that kind of good stuff, we use it constantly here at Gamebreaker TV. It is constant. If you check our Facebook page regularly, you notice I made a change. I don't know why. I have a bulldog, so I kind of wanted to just mix up the... Yes, you know, my bulldog doesn't wear glasses, unfortunately. Well, actually, I did. I did doggles. I got some doggles for him. But I wanted to change up the face. It is silly. But I wanted to change up the Facebook page. It was looking kind of like, you know, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try and change this thing like every other week or something. Just keep it like fresh and kind of looking different and come up with something. I didn't know what to put on there, and I really didn't. I was like, I'm just going to be some random stuff. And I went over to Shutterstock and I started looking around and just like searching for random vector artwork and all kinds of stuff. And boom, there I found this dog with glasses, and I'm like, I like this image. I'm just going to take this and put this up there. People are going to be like, why is this on the Gamebreaker page? I'm going to be like, I don't know, because I own a bulldog and I like it. Done. But the point is, there's tons of great artists putting their stuff on Shutterstock. And there's caricatures and vector artwork and stock photography and all kinds of stuff. So if you need icons or anything like this, artwork to make your website, your guild website, your YouTube page, anything like that, maybe a video project you're working on, if you need to take it to the next level, you're not an artist like myself, there's no better place to go than Shutterstock. And we want to save you guys 25% off. All you have to do is make sure you use promo code GameBreaker1213. That is GameBreaker1213. Use that promo code on the checkout. You will immediately save 25% off. Go, Shutterstock.com. So, Richard, we alluded to it earlier. The controversy over the reused gear models. I got to be honest, I'm not really sure what ArenaNet are thinking this time around. They released a set of armor in the gem store with the same models as the very, very expensive Tier 3 cultural armor that was unique to humans. And the gem store version was actually cooler because it had fire.
Yes.
The community is not too happy about this.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So
I want to know where my heavy armor at. I mean, You did all this light armor stuff. Oh, where the heavy armor at?
What were
For
they
cheap.
thinking before we
know
get into
what I'm
all? What do you guys think? What are they thinking here? What's this is the first time we're like really questioning something like this.
Well, I don't know. I don't know where the decision came from, and I'm sure there were some people on the team that were probably like, we can't do this, but somebody won out. The voice of reason did not win out. Because here's the thing. They put out 3 different armor sets on the gem store, and all 3 are reskins. But 2 of them were just kind of random things. One of them was a set you can get in World versus World. One of them you can actually get in World versus World, and also some Karma vendors. These were, kind of like easier to get things. And then one of them, they, like you said, they just picked Tier 3 cultural human armor, which if you want to buy that whole set for gold, it's 119 gold. That's a lot of change to buy this thing. So people bought that expecting to stand out, expecting to kind of look different, and now suddenly you can buy it on the gem store. Now, here's the funny thing. The gem store version has all those fiery effects, which you can see right now. If you converted gold to gems to buy this, it would be roughly around 60 gold. So not only does it look cooler, but you can get it a lot cheaper than if you actually buy it in-game. So, yeah, people freaking out. So I think what's basically happening here is, they want to put stuff on the gem store for every patch, right, so they can make some money. They didn't have enough time to kind of do completely new armor skins. So they went out and said, all right, well, what can we dress up a little bit with some flame effects and throw up on the gem store? I think the big misstep, though, was just the cultural armor. If they literally went through and said, all right, well, here are some of the sets throughout the game, here's some armor sets we want to reuse, and they have some statistics maybe to back it up to say, you know what, there's such a low percentage of the population that actually use these skins, let's reuse them, put some fire, put some frost or something on it, that's great, as long as they're not touching exclusive race cultural armor like they did. Because that was a big no.
ArenaNet did say something. They after reading the feedback, they agree it's not visually distinctive enough.
Yes.
I don't know.
One of the quotes said something like, "Well, we were trying to, we thought that we could just, make it look different enough by adding all these cool effects that you wouldn't really compare it to the original." But no, you definitely can compare it to the original.
Yeah.
It's
that gray area is suddenly there now. It's just like, oh, ArenaNet, what you doing? What you doing there?
Well, and here's the other part of it. If they actually went out and said, and this is completely different. This is not what they did. But if they actually said, hey, we want people to have more access to more variety of armors. We think the cultural armor sets are some of the coolest art we have in the game. So we're going to make a change so that people can get, different armor across the cultural. They actually changed it. There'll still be people that would be upset, but at least it would be a decision they made to allow any race to wear the cultural armors, and then a lot of people can kind of, use those. But that's not what they did at all. They just took an arbitrary certain skin from a certain race and just dressed it up and thought it would fly. So that's just, it's a little bit mind-blowing that it kind of went that way.
But I gotta say, ArenaNet's response to this is quite commendable. So to their credit, they're handling this quite well, which is nice to see, like when a company just sort of realizes, like, hey, we derped, we misstepped, we admit it, we'll fix it. So the armor is being temporarily removed from the gem store. They said they're going to work on a new armor set that isn't a clone of something, and then everyone who bought the armor will have it changed to the new model once that's ready, and it'll go on sale again once that's ready as well. And they also said on top of that, anyone who doesn't like the new model when it comes out and can contact customer support for a full refund. So,
man, they are hyper nice, man.
They gotta say did you do the customer service right?
It's like every week it's the same thing. It's like, oh, we're sorry, can you forgive us? And we're like, yes, of course, we're reading that refund. Awesome. Like they really do. Like all the changes we've been getting, account wide, World v World level, account wide. What's the other account wide thing that happened just recently? I totally blank now. Like there's like so many fractals. That's right.
Yeah.
Like they're making PvP easier to get into. Like everything is more easier to get into. Like so many changes like that. That's just like, oh, you know what? You asked for it, so we're gonna give it to you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could ask for anything more than this. I mean, I don't really know if you can't think of anything else to put on the list. It's a pretty good solution. So, one side note though, do we have enough gear with magical fire on it? Isn't there enough?
Yes. Yes,
There's enough.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I felt they were a little bit
fire
lazy.
here.
I think. I mean, they reskinned. I
What
mean,
about ice?
Ice.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Fire's
that's
fire's
different.
tricky friend.
Ice. Freeze.
By the way, one suggestion that I've been talking to, I did a video on this controversy, and I had some conversation with somebody on my channel. Take armor sets that exist, but mismatch them. Right? Take a helm from this set, a chest piece from this set, boots from this, and then package that together. Add some ice effects to it, and sell that on the gem store. If you have to go through a reskin, do that. That's what I would say.
Boom.
I mean,
Which
it's
is
not
the
like they don't
answer.
have artists working. You know what I'm saying? Oh, tier 3 human armor, please, for cheap on the store. I would love that on my Norn. So go ahead, make those guys unhappy, and so I can get that.
He's looking for a sale. Matt Visual, follow him on Twitter at Matt_Visual. Make sure you put the underscore in there, and of course go over to his YouTube channel. Always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Richard Procopio, follow him on Twitter, Richard Procopio, and go over to his Bog Otter channel over on the YouTubes as well for more Guild Wars 2 action amongst the other videos over there as well. And thanks so much to John Mullen, aka Blue. You can follow him on Twitter at Dr_Blue. Don't forget the underscore. Don't forget the underscore. Thanks so much. You can follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. Go to our YouTube page and Gamebreaker Nation. Follow us on Facebook at Gamebreaker TV. And we'll be back next week, Wednesday, like we do, at 6. Have a great week. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.